The text arrived at 11:47 p.m. on a Tuesday, just as I was finishing quarterly reports in my downtown office. My phone buzzed. Dad's name lit up the screen. We're selling the house tomorrow. Your things will be on the curb. Don't bother coming. I stared at the message for a long moment, then typed a single word back. Okay. What Dad didn't realize, what no one in my family knew, was that I had quietly bought our childhood home 3 years earlier through my holding company, Sterling Properties, LLC. After Dad's company, Morrison Construction, defaulted on several major contracts, their finances had collapsed. The bank was preparing to foreclose when I stepped in and purchased the mortgage without telling anyone. For the past 3 years, I'd let them stay there rent-free while they rebuilt their lives, believing they still owned the place. They never knew that every mortgage payment they'd been sending actually went into a trust I'd created for their retirement. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Dad. And don't expect any family help anymore. You've been nothing but a disappointment. Time to face the real world. I set the phone down and returned to my reports. Tomorrow I thought was going to be interesting. At 8:15 the next morning, my phone rang. The caller ID read Richard Morrison, my realtor, the one managing the property situation without revealing my involvement. Good morning, Richard. Miss Sterling, he said hesitantly. I've got a rather odd situation. There's a man here insisting he owns the house at 1247 Maple Street. He wants to list it for sale immediately. That would be Robert Morrison, I replied evenly. My father. Put him on speaker, please. There was a bit of fumbling, then Dad's unmistakable voice, loud, defensive. Listen, I don't know who this Sterling person is, but this is my house. My family's lived here 15 years. I want it listed today for $850,000. Richard's professional tone didn't waver. Sir, I believe there's been a misunderstanding. According to the county records, the property belongs to Sterling Properties, LLC. You'd need the owner's authorization to sell. That's ridiculous, Dad snapped. I have the deed right here. That document shows the original 2009 purchase, Richard explained. But the title transferred to Sterling Properties in 2021 after Morrison Construction defaulted on the loan. The silence that followed was almost physical. I could picture the moment it sank in, Dad's world tilting beneath him. Richard, I said quietly, please give Mr. Morrison my direct number. Tell him the property owner would like to speak with him. Of course, Miss Sterling. 20 minutes later, my office phone rang. Dad's voice exploded through the speaker. What the hell is happening? Who is Sterling Properties? How did they get my house? Hello, Dad. The line went dead silent for a full 10 seconds. Then, Alexandra, what? How do you know about this? Because, I said evenly, Sterling Properties is mine. I bought the house 3 years ago, right after you defaulted on the mortgage. The line went quiet again. When Dad finally spoke, his voice was barely audible. You own our house? Yes, I said. And for the past 3 years, every payment you thought was going to the bank has actually been going into a retirement fund I set up for you and Mom. That's not possible, he stammered. You don't have that kind of money. You work for some small tech company. You drive that old Toyota. I drive a 2018 Toyota Camry because it's dependable and doesn't attract attention, I replied calmly. And yes, I work in tech, but I'm the CEO of Sterling Tech Solutions. I could hear his breathing quicken on the other end. Dad, are you sitting down? Because there's more we need to talk about. More. Sterling Properties doesn't just own your home. We own the entire Maple Street neighborhood, 47 houses in total, all acquired over the last 4 years as investment properties. That's impossible. Would you like to see the proof? I can email you the portfolio and documentation. Alexandra, I don't understand. How could you even afford all that? When did this happen? We had no idea. You had no idea, I said evenly, because you never asked. Every time I tried to tell you about my work, you'd change the topic or make a joke about me wasting my time on computers. I could hear Mom's voice in the background, worried and trembling. What's going on? She asked. Put me on speaker, Dad. Mom should hear this too. A soft click. Then her voice came through the line, shaky but gentle. Alexandra, sweetheart, what's happening? Hi, Mom. Dad. And I were just talking about the house situation. What house situation? Your father said we were selling. Mom, please sit down. There's a lot you both need to know about my career. Things I've never been able to explain before. For the next hour, I laid it all out. Sterling Tech Solutions, the company I built from a small consulting outfit into a $180 million software development firm. Sterling Properties, my real estate investment branch, which now own more than 300 properties across 3 states. And the Sterling Foundation, which had donated over $15 million to charities in the past 2 years. But your apartment, Mom said weakly, it's so tiny. It's actually the penthouse of a building I own downtown, I explained. I just prefer smaller spaces. And your car? Paid off and dependable. I don't need a luxury vehicle to prove my success. Dad finally found his voice again. Why didn't you tell us? Why let us believe you were struggling? When was I supposed to, Dad? I asked quietly. Every time we talked, every family dinner, every call, it was all about how disappointed you were in my choices. When exactly would you have listened? I heard Mom softly crying on the other end of the line. 3 years ago, when you were about to lose the house, I tried to talk to you about helping out. You told me to mind my own business, to stop trying to fix everyone's problems with my computer games. I remember, Dad murmured. So, I helped anyway, quietly. I purchased your mortgage, kept you in the home, and redirected your payments so they built your retirement instead of padding a bank's profits. You saved our house. I saved your house, Dad. But more than that, I saved your pride. You never even had to know you lost it. The conversation was interrupted by my assistant's voice over the intercom. Miss Sterling, your 10 a.m. has arrived. The mayor and the city council for the downtown development project. Thank you, Janet. Tell them I'll be 5 minutes. Alexandra, Mom said slowly. Did she just say the mayor? Yes, I replied. Sterling Tech Solutions is the lead contractor on the new Smart City project. We're deploying AI-powered traffic systems, digital infrastructure, and public safety networks throughout the metro area. That's a government contract? Dad asked. A $250 million government contract, I clarified. We outbid Microsoft and Google for it. I heard the sound of Dad sinking into a chair. Dad, I need to take this meeting, I said gently. But we'll finish this talk tonight. Can you and Mom join me for dinner? Where? Mom asked. How about the Metropolitan, top floor? That place charges $200 a person. Dad objected automatically. I'm aware, Dad. I dine there often. Another long pause. Then finally, Alexandra, Dad said quietly. I owe you an apology. We owe you one. We'll talk tonight. 7 o'clock. We'll be there. After ending the call, I leaned back in my leather chair and gazed out through the floor-to-ceiling windows of my office. 43 stories below, the city hummed with life, much of it powered by the systems my company had built. A knock on the door. Janet again. The mayor's team is ready when you are. Send them in, I said. And Janet, have my driver pick up my parents tonight. They're not used to downtown parking. Of course. The usual car. Yes, the Tesla Model S. It's time they saw that I didn't just make it. I made it spectacularly. The meeting with the city officials went seamlessly. We discussed phase 2 of the Smart City expansion, extending our AI technology to automate utilities management and introduce predictive maintenance for city systems. By the end, they'd approved an additional $85 million in funding. As they prepared to leave, Mayor Harrison shook my hand. Alexandra, when we met 3 years ago, I couldn't have imagined your company would reshape our city like this. Crime's down 23%, traffic flow up 40%, and energy costs dropped 18%. You've surpassed every target. Thank you, Mayor Harrison, I said. Phase 2 will deliver even greater results. I believe it, he replied. And congratulations on the Forbes Award, Tech Innovator of the Year. Well deserved. After they left, I spent the afternoon reviewing division reports. Sterling Tech Solutions now employed 847 people across 4 offices. Sterling Properties oversaw $89 million in real estate holdings. And the Sterling Foundation had pledged to build 3 new community centers and fund scholarships for 200 students this year. At 6:30 p.m., I left my office and made my way to the parking garage. My black Model S sat waiting with my driver, Marcus, standing beside it. "Good evening, Miss Sterling," he greeted. "Shall I pick up your parents first?" "Yes," I replied. "They're at 1247 Maple Street." "The one listed under your Sterling Properties portfolio?" "That's the one, Marcus. And tonight, they'll find out it belongs to me." The ride to Maple Street took around 15 minutes. When we arrived at the modest two-story house where I'd grown up, I saw Mom and Dad on the porch, dressed in their finest clothes, looking both uneasy and curious. Marcus stepped out to open their doors. "Good evening, Mr. and Mrs. Morrison," he said politely. "I'm Marcus, Miss Sterling's driver." "Driver," Mom whispered to Dad as they climbed in. "Good evening," I greeted as they settled into the soft leather seats. "How are you two feeling?" "Confused," Dad admitted. "Alexandra, this car must have cost more than I made in a year at the construction company." "It's efficient and environmentally responsible," I said lightly. "I try to make smart choices." Mom's fingers traced the smooth leather interior. "Honey, this is stunning and so quiet." "Electric cars usually are," I explained. As we rolled through downtown, Dad gazed out the window at the glowing billboards and intelligent traffic lights lining the streets, both products of my company's work. "These new traffic systems," he said thoughtfully, "they've made driving downtown so much simpler." "Sterling Tech Solutions designed and installed those," I replied casually. "You did that?" "My team did," I said with a small smile. We pulled up to the Metropolitan, where the valet immediately recognized my car. "Good evening, Miss Sterling," he said. "Your usual table?" "Yes, thank you, David." As we walked through the restaurant, several prominent business figures nodded in greeting. The maitre d' personally guided us to my regular table, a corner booth overlooking the city skyline. "Your preferred wine is ready, Miss Sterling," he said once we were seated. "Thank you, Francois." When he left, Mom looked around the elegant dining room, eyes wide with awe. "Alexandra, everyone here seems to know you." "I come here often," I said. "It's close to my office." "Where is your office exactly?" Dad asked. I pointed out the window to the gleaming tower across the street. "Sterling Tower. I have the entire 43rd floor." Dad followed my gesture, noticing the illuminated Sterling Tech Solutions logo on the building's facade. "That whole building?" Mom breathed. "I own floors 40 through 45, I said simply. "The rest are rented out." The waiter returned with the wine, a $400 Bordeaux I'd chosen earlier. "Miss Sterling, shall I pour the usual?" "Please do." As the wine was served and our meals ordered, Dad leaned forward, studying me closely. "Alexandra, I need to understand something," Dad began slowly. "When did all of this happen? When did you become so successful?" "It didn't just happen overnight, Dad," I replied. "I've been building these companies for the past 8 years, ever since I graduated from Stanford." "Stanford?" Mom's eyes widened in disbelief. "You went to Stanford? We thought you went to State University." "I earned a full scholarship to Stanford for my master's in computer science and business administration," I said evenly. "You two were so caught up with Michael's wedding plans that no one even asked where I decided to go." The weight of that truth settled heavily between us. Michael, the golden child, had always been their focus, while I quietly earned my degrees from one of the best universities in the world. "We were so focused on the wedding," Mom murmured, tears brimming in her eyes. After graduation, I continued. I launched Sterling Tech Solutions out of a tiny rented office with $15,000 in savings. During the first year, I worked 18-hour days, 7 days a week, developing our first major software platform. Dad leaned forward. "What kind of software?" "Predictive analytics for logistics and supply chain management," I explained. In simple terms, I built systems that help businesses forecast what they'll need, when they'll need it, and how to deliver it most efficiently. Our appetizers arrived, lobster bisque and seared scallops. As we began to eat, I went on. By our second year, we landed our first big client, Henderson Manufacturing. That deal was worth $2.3 million and let me hire 12 full-time employees. Henderson Manufacturing, Dad repeated. They used to be one of my biggest clients at Morrison Construction. We built their new warehouse complex. "I know," I said quietly. "I was the one who recommended you for that project." His fork froze midair. "What?" When Henderson asked if I knew any trustworthy construction companies, I gave them your name, I told him. That $4.7 million project that saved Morrison Construction from bankruptcy 3 years ago, that was me, helping you, even though you never knew. Dad slowly set his fork down. You got me that contract?